and so we're looking forward to a very exciting race this morning as we wind down round 4 of the Swiss matches here in the 2018 Spring Tournament.
Looking to be I think it's going to be a good match here. I'm feeling a good balance for the seed. We're going to find out what's going on here. So,
all right, Rick, what are you hoping for for Uncle this morning? It's definitely not a sword since he's not leaving with it. So what are we hoping for?
I always hope for either bow or hammer, just because it opens up so much. But fire rod wouldn't be too bad of a thing either. And we're getting a map check already. It looks like Eastern Palace is our red crystal. Great things happen while we're preparing.
And it looked like Green Pendant went to Tower of Hera, and Desert Palace, unless I'm mistaken, was also a crystal.
That it was, just a regular type one. And let's see, Uncle. Hammer!
All right, stop hammer time for both these runners, and I bet they're very happy that they didn't see a bomb start, although some people do enjoy that bomb start.
A bomb start's pretty nice to have so you can open up back of escape, but it's really tricky to use the timing on the bombs. There's your main weapon. Pro getting lucky and getting a 4 bomb drop won't have to worry about back of escape. Hitsuyan's gonna probably need that, though.
Yeah, it's a pretty big, it's a really nice start to get some bomb drop at the beginning, as you said, so you can get those 3 items in the sewer and the back of escape. So I bet Pro is very happy about that, and Hitsuyan will probably be looking for some bombs as he makes his way through escape.
Yeah, back of escape's one of those things where it's so commonly checked that if you don't check it, there's a chance you could forget about it and think you've already done it. So that's always a good peace of mind part. There's those 4 bomb drops there.
I'm enjoying Hitsuyan's sprite. It's like guard-on-guard violence.
Yeah, it's like I am Iron Man.
All right, so far nothing terribly exciting as both the runners make the way through escape to rescue our favorite resident princess from her cell. Looking to see what they find down in Zelda's cell and then back our way up to the sewers.
I believe on the way, too, there's actually a good amount of items they can get. 6 items in total, I believe.
And for those of you joining us for the first time for Link to the Past Randomizer, Link to the Past Randomizer takes everyone's favorite SNES game and randomizes all the items in a logical order so that every seed, as they call them, is completable by our runners. However, they have to do a little bit of puzzle solving, a little bit of head scratching, and a lot of good execution to get there.
That's what I like about the randomizer. It's a completely different way of looking at the game. The Zelda 1 randomizer randomizes a lot, but this just turns it more into a puzzle game, too, as you were saying. I like that.
So just a 5-arrow drop there, or a 5-arrow upgrade. I couldn't see if that was an upgrade or a drop, but nothing, again, terribly exciting, but we are making our way up to the top of Hyrule, or the ground floor of Hyrule Castle, and back to the escape sewers.
Yeah, unfortunately, just a arrow upgrade, but there's still plenty more items to see on there, since I've been getting a lot of keys and stuff at this part of it, so it's probably going to be fairly backloaded.
Well, Pro is probably pretty happy at this point. In his bio, he definitely said that Hammer was something he was looking forward to. So if we get early boots, then we'll have Hitsuyan also be very happy. So I would like early boots if I were Hitsuyan.
Exactly. Bootsless is always kind of a tricky thing. It doesn't seem tricky until you realize you've gone without them for a while, and then it's like, oh man, has my opponent found them? The good thing is, though, with the hammer now, the hitbox is a little bit wonky, but it has all the power of the tempered sword and a lot of the functionality, so they'll be able to at least take care of any foes on their way.
Absolutely, and of course, having the hammer this early gets you into some of those hammer blocked locations, and it is one of the items that you need for Dark World access. So they're going to be looking for mitts and moon pearl or gloves, and so we'll see where they start to find some of those items, or indeed if we are in for a dreaded Aghanim seed. Although I use the word dreaded, I think other people would use exciting.
I've learned just because it's an agaseed. Oh, hey, red meringue. I've learned just because it's an agaseed doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be fast. I had a jet agaseed a couple of days ago that was really fun to watch. Hopefully the guard's armor isn't going to rust too much saving the princess here.
All right, well, Hitsuyan's taking those bombs out in anticipation for the bombable wall, and 3 items behind, as these runners are very, very close. Of course, we're not going to see any real divergence until we step out of the back and escape into the sanctuary, and even still, they will likely go to Kakariko Village, maybe checking Lumberjack on the way.
Just some love from the back of Escape. It hasn't been as hype as it has been in previous iterations. Thankfully, still, though, heart pieces always come in handy. You're always going to want health in the early going, and rupees as well, so you can go bottle vendors or stuff like that.
And hearts are especially appreciated if you get that early Dark World access, because early Dark World in Greenmail is a pretty scary place to be.
And that's all she wrote for all of the items in this escape here. So we haven't found too much, but we still have a lot of Kakariko to open.
All right, well, Hitsuyan's going up north to check that Lumberjack cave, which I think is a great idea because it's one of those peace of mind checks that really could, be pivotal later, or at least get it out of your mind early on. And getting that tree pull, big 20s, which is a nice tree pull, I'd say.
And now they can get bottle vendor. They don't have to worry about that much. But as you're saying, yes, I know some people opt to skip it until they really have to do it. But I find that... Oh, I couldn't see what that was, unfortunately. Maybe Pro can show us.
It was a bomb upgrade, so as of right now, Aghanim may not be required. I say may because I've seen Aghanim come in as required sometimes pretty late in the game.
Definitely lower percentage, but it's nice to know. And Quake Medallion just lying around. Interesting. We may have some Dark World dungeons to go into. Well, we always do, but Medallion ones, that is. Nice blue mail find from the Thieves' Hut. That's going to be a relief if they do have to do any early Dark World there.
Yeah, getting an early mail upgrade is a nice find, a welcome find from many runners. So I think that is probably how they are feeling right now, and we will see if they have early Dark World access, that blue mail, if it comes into handy.
Yeah, especially right now, for the most part, it doubles their health, so that's really good news. Here we are in Kakariko. I believe there was a seed last night where all 4 swords were in Kakariko. Amazing.
It's a pretty impressive drop there in Kakariko, 4 swords.
Though the flute is pretty amazing in and of itself, that's going to wet their whistle.
And of course, they are already in Kakariko, so they can activate it right away. So that is a very, very welcome find for these runners.
It's not something you get often, but now that really opens up a lot of things for the runners. So there's going to be a lot of route divergence here. I'm pretty certain of it.
All right, Hitsuyan's going to go ahead and check that well. Hopefully we have 4 items in the well. Hopefully something good will come about this.
Well, we'll have to see. Not a whole heck of a lot, unfortunately. Well, well, well.
If you like puns and dad jokes, buckle up, everyone. All right, we have the Hyrule National Anthem playing as we were going to release the duck, and in just a moment the goose will be loose for Hitsuyan, and several moments later for Pro as well.
Fly the Duck Airlines, folks. And we're going to get a check into Crazy Chicken Lady side here in just a moment. I always love that glitch where you can throw the chicken into the other room.
Yeah, I think those... Oh, fetch quest item. We have a shovel from Crazy Chicken's Lady House, so we'll see how quickly before Hitsuyan goes and does a fetch quest.
I can dig that. And some more bombs for Hitsuyan. There's actually a good place right nearby if you already have some where you can farm bombs. It's pretty quick and you don't actually have to spend anything. I find myself trying not to spend too much in the beginning just because Zora's 500 rupees and you never know what he's got.
Of course, these runners are going to have to leave behind Sitkit as they do not have a bottle for him. So they are going to leave him behind and do a couple of checks here, library ledge, and then, of course, the race game. Likely going to save and quit after. And I bet you they're going to head to the South Shore.
I wonder if they'll route in the shovel too this time. I mean, it's not something you ordinarily get during Kakariko, so I'm kind of wondering if they're going to route that in as well.
And indeed, Hitsuyan is going to run in that shovel. I saw him put it in his item box, and he's headed for the Flute Boy, as is Pro.
Yeah, because if you have an important fetch quest item like that right off the bat, you don't dig it up, you'll be kicking yourself later. And just a bomb upgrade, unfortunately, but hey, you never know. Peace of mind is always a good item to have.
Indeed, the chat pointing out that save and quit usually isn't used when you have the flute. It's so rare that you get the flute this early that it's something you got to reprogram yourself for when you're routing in.
And that's where it opens up a lot of possibilities and lots of bomb upgrades to start off with, but not a whole lot of progression items, interestingly enough. Vanilla piece of heart there.
All right, well, Hitsuyan's going to go over to Mini Moldorm Cave, where you have 5 items to get, including Generous Guy. And then we'll see what happens. I mean, they have the flute, and of course, Death Mountain is open to them for the 2 items up there that they can check in logic at the moment. They also have Ice Rod Cave, which is an out-of-the-way location, but something that could bear some fruit. And also you have Agina's Cave. So we'll see where these runners go after the Mini Moldorm Cave here.
I'm kind of curious if any of them may wait until they have the mirror, just so they can they don't have to climb Death Mountain more than once. But we'll see.
And there's that mirror that you were talking about.
I calls them like I sees them. So yeah, Death Mountain probably going to be open now, along with well, they can always jump into Hera to check what the 2 items are there, if nothing else. And Green Pen isn't the worst of dungeons to complete either, as you can get the item from Sahasrara. So we may see them go after Moldorm here.
Well, Hitsuyan is going to go ahead and do one of those one-off locations in the Ice Rod Cave. We'll see what Pro does, but you're right in that you got Green Pendant Tower of Hera. You have a dungeon that is, if not Fire Source locked, is completable with 3 hits of the hammer on Moldorm. So we'll see what they do. And they also have access to East Side Death Mountain with that hammer, so they have quite a few items that they could pick up there.
Ether medallion, interesting. We may not have to worry about medallions at all for whatever reason this run.
We have Pro headed for Sahasrara. Of course, he has 3 items and won't need that knowledge of the green pendant. We already know that Tower of Hera is the green pendant. We'll see if he opts to dip into Eastern Palace, but Hitsuyan is going to Dark Room, save the old man, and then probably take care of a lot of Death Mountain.
Yeah, it's showing us a really good use for the boomerang in one of these races here. It's a pretty handy item for navigating dark rooms if you don't have a lamp. And there's our bombos. Yeah, we're not worrying about medallions at all, are we?
Well, the nice thing now is that the runners don't have to do any cursory checks on the 2 medallion dungeons because they know they're going to be able to enter them no matter what. So that might save them a little time, at least up front, moving forward in this run.
And Pro is just opting to forget about going into Eastern. Not, like I said, not a bad idea. Gonna have to come back to it later, but if you don't have the bow, it's kind of something you only really dip into if you can, I think.
Yeah, Eastern isn't something I typically dip into without at least the bow, and it's difficult to do some of those dark rooms. I mean, you have the boomerang, so that's helpful, but I wouldn't be led there by the progression of the items in this seed so far. But then again, you know, I'm certainly not the last authority on the matter.
And we get a Dark World check. We have Ice and Pond as our other pendant dungeons. So we are going to be needing some Fire Rod, Ice Rod, definite can of Samaria. And Hitsuyan opting to dip into Hera. Now, there's 2 potential items in Hera, and like I said earlier, if they do complete it fast, if they do want to complete it, it's fast, they get a green pendant out of it, so why the heck not? And we're going to have to go into the basement.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hitsuyan is going to get a fire source locked, but has the right side of Death Mountain to take care of, which will have quite a few items for him as he moves forward.
Yeah, they won't be hurting for opportunities to go back to check Hera, so it's not super out of the way, but again, it's just a pendant dungeon, so they probably will save it for later, I would imagine.
Looks like Floating Islands had nothing but a 3-bomb pickup there, a bomb pickup for Hitsuyan as he checked that, so he's going to do the long walk in Spiral Cave to grab that item and then take care of East Death Mountain.
Yeah, Spiral Cave, not necessarily fun without the boots, and little mini mole dorms don't make it any better either.
All right, let's see what Spiral Cave has, and it is a bloomerang. So now we are fully boomeranged up, and I'm sure that is as equally as exciting for the runners as it is for me.
Boom, boom, boom. Now let me hear you say wayo.
Wayo.
Good man.
All right, well, using that block glitch with the mirror to get that out of the way, Hitsuyan's going to see what 2 items are in the back here.
Get hype. I'd say Ice Rod is pretty good hype, seeing as they're going to have to go into Turtle Rock.
And Ice Rod is one of those items that literally could be anywhere. And so it's really nice to get that early on.
Yeah, that's definitely quite the relief that you don't have to go scouring the light world and the dark world for that kind of thing. And there is the first sword. Flippers and lamp. I'm totally hyped. 9 out of 10. Would recommend.
Yeah, that was a pretty exciting pickup for Hitsuyan and just about to be for Pro. To get that lamp, to get the sword and the flippers, that certainly opens up a lot for them. And it really, now they don't have to worry about dark rooms, which I know personally is one of the scariest things for me, is to have to do some of those dark rooms.
Yeah, I personally can do the first two Eastern Palace ones to get the to the Vanilla Big Key area. Most of the other ones, just forget it. Nope, stick a fork in me, I'm done. And Hitsuyan setting the Death Mountain waypoint here with the old man. Gonna grab an item here shortly.
Pro opting to do the same, so we'll see. And we have the Moon Pearl. The old man was holding on to that Moon Pearl, so now we are one step closer to Dark World access.
Yes, indeed. We at least need some gloves, and they have their choice of Kakariko or doing Swamp.
So it looks like Hitsuyan's going to take care of some of these water locations like Hobo and perhaps head up to Waterfall Cave, although it doesn't have the requisite number of rupees for Zora. It's not a bad check to make, especially getting the boots this early might be pushing in that direction.
Yeah, it's been really stingy with the rupees, surprisingly. So that's... they may have to put off Zora for a little bit because of that, unless they find a 300 rupee thing pretty quick here.
Of course, the runners also now have a fire source, so the basement of Hera is also an open option, as Hobo just gives him a big 20.
Absolutely, and if they're able to find the Titan's Myth, they have a back way into Desert and can hit Mire.
Looks like Pro might be doing just that and checking to see what's in that basement of Tower of Hera.
Not a bad option. We'll have to see how that turns out. It's an interesting early gamble.
All right, well, Hitsuyan's about to see what's in the waterfall. We have two items here, so we will see that we have bombs and we have a single rupee.
Yeah, that's basically the single rupee you get when you're angry and you want to chuck it at something's head.
It's a single rupee, as beloved an item as a single arrow. And Hitsuyan's about to check what's on Zora Ledge. And again, another one of those peace of mind checks. It's good. And we have some literacy, so Zora's been studying lately. So that might be where the seed is going to be leading next, is perhaps Desert Palace.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of getting it early. Hopefully Zora doesn't have any progressive thing too, because I'll have to go back and check that out. Meanwhile, no coffee breaks for Pro here. I think they're more of a soda person.
Got a little bit of a single rupee hype in chat, so hype up for the single rupee.
There's the save and quit for Hitsuyan, and yeah, may not be going right to Desert. Interesting. And there's a fairly new trick that I've seen when you have the mirror. Going to Sanctuary and then mirroring will actually get you to the entrance quicker, so therefore you can get right out. And Hitsuyan also heading to Desert. I totally forgot about that flute for a moment. We will have to see if Desert ends up being bootlocked, though. But if not, they still have to at least find the gloves. But they still have some potential things open to them anyway in that first part.
Of course, Desert Palace has two unique items that the runners could potentially find. And again, as you said, if it's not bootlocked, they may even be able to complete it, although not a desired outcome to take Landmolus on with a hammer. Or he does have a sword, but fighter sword, also not a very desirable item to have to take on Landmolus.
Yeah, we gotta wait until they find the power glove of the Titansmith, though. Otherwise, they're not going to be getting very far. And I think Hitsuyan realizes that he is gonna be likely boots locked out of at a desert, so we'll come back later.
So Pro is making his way up to Moldorm. He found a piece of love in the big chest, and I didn't see if there was a second item that he picked up on his way heading up to Moldorm.
20 rupees, actually, so kind of a bust that way.
Alright, so opting to take on Moldorm for that green pendant. Misses the exit off the highway into the Moldorm battlefield, but gets back in there. And we'll hopefully see a non-trolly Moldorm today, and using some hammer strats here.
Yeah, the first Moldorm I feel like is always the worst because of that one hole in the center. You fall down that, and you're going to be flying the Hera skies all the way down 2 floors. And Pro opting not to use the hammer worked out for him, actually, since it was a pretty clean defeat, I think. And getting the green pendant.
So of course now Sahasrala's family treasure is open to Pro, and we're likely gonna see him head that way next, and maybe even dip into Eastern Palace after.
Not a bad call there. Now that you have lamp, it's not lamp locked necessarily in logic, but you won't be able to get to the Armos Knights. So that's a bit of a bummer there.
Did Hitsuyan check out Agina's cave? Because I know that's where Pro's headed now.
No, I do not believe he did. So this could be a chance for Pro to take an early lead here if there's something in there.
Yeah, so far we haven't found any real progression into the Dark World other than the Moon Pearl and the Hammer. So we're still looking for gloves or mitts to get these runners into the Dark World. So maybe that's what Agina's got going on.
Has nothing but disappointment. One more of 28 possible 20 rupees.
Getting a tablet check and just a rupee heart for Hitsuyan as he checks that Death Mountain tablet. So probably not coming back here unless is in dire need of rupees for something.
Well, we still have Zora on the table, and I would be careful though, because if Zora's been studying, he's probably looking up some new swindle ideas.
Yeah, those life lessons from Zora can be pretty rough on the wallet.
I'd say so. Never trust a fish man.
All right, so let's get some Sahasrala hype in the chat here as we check what the family heirloom is.
Congratulations, you have gotten the green pendant. You have earned Sahasrala's full love. And a coffee break for Hitsuyan. I went there a couple of days ago. I didn't like the coffee. They had tile grounds all, tile pieces all in it. Ugh. But in all seriousness, it is a good chance to rest and kind of gather your thoughts for the rest of the run. You don't get many opportunities for that, so it's something good to take advantage of if you're racing and have to do Basement Hera.
Locations are starting to dry up a little bit for these runners. We still, again, Eastern Palace still in the equation here now that they have Lamp, can take care of the dark rooms. So they have those 3 items still hanging out in Eastern. We'll see if maybe that pushes them into Dark World access, or again, Aghanim is still on the table.
Absolutely. I have a feeling there might be something in Eastern, but call it a hunch. That's all it really is at the moment.
It's like Pro's going to head up Zora way to find his book. And then likely has a couple of options. Might be going into Desert Palace from there. We'll see.
Kind of interesting how it's sort of leading into really explore every nook and cranny of the overworld.
Hitsuyan doing the bomb jump here. We'll see if he gets it. And nice execution. Not getting that bomb jump could be costly in terms of time. So that was a nice bomb jump from Hitsuyan.
Indeed. Unfortunately, just an aorta there, so piece of heart. Kind of interesting run too, where neither runner has been able to buy whatever Zora has for sale. So hopefully the runners remember that.
Looks like Pro may have been trying to activate that flute in Zora's domain, which doesn't quite work. He has to actually exit to do so, as Hitsuyan is taking home his green pendant.
So we're about 30 minutes in now, and neither player has been able to get a crystal or Dark World access. So this is getting interesting so far. They're running out of places to check. So Eastern may be that valuable play after all.
All right, well, both runners are crisscrossing each other's paths, and it looks like Hitsuyan's going to turn in that green pendant just for Sahasrara's love and affection. And Pro is going to head into Desert Palace to see that he is indeed boot locked. I would imagine that both runners are going to continue to funnel their way to Eastern Palace after their checks here.
Yeah, if I was here in this race, I think that's where I would feel like it's leading me. So that's going to be interesting to see what's inside. So I know we still need at least a glove to get Dark World access.
Hitsuyan fluting away, I think realizing that he does have a Gina's Cave to check.
Will be slightly disappointed when he finds out what's inside, though. Only slightly. And Desert Ledge, getting that heart container, not a bad idea. More health is always good.
Yeah, if it's not too out of the way, I don't ever mind picking up a few extra hearts here and there. And it looks like Hitsuyan's going to do what a lot of runners do. They pick up the quick heart refill from Old Man in Death Mountain, and then they flute away to the next location.
I think Hitsuyan's there getting a little frustrated. But I think both players are realizing that Eastern Palace is the likely play at this point. I think with the amount of things open with the flute that they can go to, Eastern Palace is probably one of those things that they save for last. It's like, if I can't think of anything better, I'll go check it out here. Probably has something in there.
I mean, the nice thing about Eastern Palace is that it is a quick dungeon to dip and to take care of some items. And if I had to double dip, which may be the case for these runners, it's a pretty quick dip back in once you're done.
And hopefully the double dipping will be like ranch dressing, tasty and fun.
Of course, Pro does still have that Ice Rod Cave open to them, and of course we found out in the Ice Rod Cave was Ether, so wondering when that will come back to his foremind and to go check.
That's true. If Ether is the medallion required to open Misery Mire like it is in the vanilla game, he's gonna have to do some crazy hunting for that. I have a feeling that may not end well if that's the case.
And of course, Ice Rod Cave isn't something that you think about pretty actively for too long once it sort of fades from your consciousness. So we'll see. I'm hoping for his sake that it just ends up being an extra, but we'll see what happens. And so far, only a piece of heart in this dungeon for our runners.
Out of curiosity, to pick your brain, is Ice Rod Cave something you try to route in personally, or do you tend to skip it?
You know, it's one of those things that if I have the boots or flute, I'll check it. And actually, in my last race, I believe it held something of significance, so I was kind of kicking myself for not checking it earlier. But it's something that I don't tend to check unless I have those two items.
Fair point. Interesting. And just an arrow upgrade for the second. We may be really having to hunt every nook and cranny of Hyrule here.
I mean, I think at this point they may be out of things to check. I'm thinking in my own mind what's left to check. There's got to be something in progression here, I'd imagine.
Yeah, because they wouldn't be able to go to sneak in this dark world and check Spike Cave because they don't have everything quite yet, so that's off the table. And Eastern holding a big nothing for our players. This is just turning into one big fetch quest just to find progression items.
So it's time for everybody's favorite activity. It's called Farming for Rupees for Zora, which is going to be a ton of fun.
If they're lucky enough to come across that Master Sword, they could always check that Ether Tablet and get that all taken care of, but they have to get that lucky first, which, seeing right now is probably not happening.
I think Hitsuyan may have been looking to farm rupees in that area east of Desert Palace, realizing that I don't have the gloves, so I can't do that. And I think Pro is taking a good hard look time to see what should be done, but is checking that ice rod cave. So I think they're going to be scouting out some farming locations fairly soon.
Might not hurt to go back to that tree pole if nothing else, because we did see one of the prizes being 20 rupees, so that's 80 rupees right there.
All right, well, Pro coming to the realization that it's time to start farming some money for Zora. Looks like Hitsuyan is opting to use Kakariko, and in the chat, of course, people asking about the Houlihan room, which when you have flippers, I believe there's a second entry point, but it is a little bit more difficult than the primary entry point without.
Yeah, Houlihan isn't something you often see in a race, but when you see it, it's pretty cool to see. And remembering that there's 20 rupees in the race game, don't know if they'll go for it or not. It looks like they're going for it. Not really a whole heck of a lot of ideas at the moment.
Well, one of the things Hitsuyan may be missing out on is there's quite a bit more rupees, I believe, in the back of Blind's hut than there is in the wells, than there are in the wells. So I'm interested to see if maybe he gives that a shot or just keeps on diving into the well.
I think this way is faster because you do get 30 rupees, but then in order to refresh it all, you have to go out into 2 fade out locations. So it's probably slower overall than doing this.
Well, while we're farming for rupees, Rick, what do we think that Zora's holding on to for progression? Because there are a few options here.
I smell a glove or a Master Sword in their future. This could very well turn into an Agaseed, and if that book is any indication, Zora's been reading up on how to troll. I think my money's going to be on that Master Sword, to be honest with you.
Are we getting a pedestal check here from Pro?
Oh boy, chat. Here you go.
Drum roll, and missed what the text said, so that was very anticlimactic.
Unfortunately, chat, Ped is dead. Just arrows. The seed is giving nobody any glory. The runners, the chat. But hey, we're still having a fun time talking, aren't we?
Absolutely. It is, I gotta tell you, as someone who has been in this position where you have to farm for Zora money, it is tedious and frustrating.
Yeah, if I was a runner, I would chuck a sign in the garden frustration too. So I don't blame Pro one bit. Though I think he's remembering now the tree pull location, actually. There we go for Pro. Very good call.
All right, who's going to hit their 500 first? Is it going to be Hitsuyan? Is it going to be Pro? Let's see in the chat. Who do you think?
Oh, not getting anything from that one. Oh, misfortune.
We are 19 rupees away from our Zora check for Hitsuyan. It's coming. It's coming. The 19 rupees for the Zora check.
And just like in real life, money is slow to come and quick to go. I don't know how you feel about that, but I know with my own personal NES collection, that's the case.
And Hitsuyan rage slashing a few times to show his displeasure toward the 501 rupees that he just had to work very hard for.
And the tree pull that time having an explosive temper, so Pro can't be all that happy about that.
All right, chat, what progression item do we think we're going to see on Zora now? Because it's got to be something.
You know, the other thing it could be, too, could give him a cape. Which I think chat's very much agreeing with.
Ooh, mushroom, we got some fetch quest guesses, we have some cape, we have some master sword. But we're going to see in the moment, what exactly is Zora's lesson for the day? What is he going to go ahead and throw into that pool for our runners?
Oh, someone thinks dirty mushroom. Oh, very possible. Very, very possible.
All right, here we go. Zora, what do you got for us today? It's the Master Sword. That is something I would not want to see.
Aghanim, welcome to die.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially entering an Aghanim seed. You people in chat, you did this.
I think they're very much reveling in it.
So the irony in all of this is chat is pointing out that that rupee hoard on Death Mountain is now open for the runners if they need some more rupees.
So that's what Zora was reading up on. The great big book of irony. And if that Master Sword is also made of some kind of iron, there's a stealth pun in there too.
All right, Hitsuya, I'm playing a really nice strat at the beginning room of Castle Tower to take care of those guards with his spin strat, getting his key and moving up to the top, toward the top of Aghanim's tower. Hopefully, Aghanim not going to barrage these runners with blue balls today, but of course, as this is progressing, that would happen.
Oh, of course. They're not going to let him off that easily. And the other bummer thing, too, about Castle Tower, in standard or open mode, you're not going to find any items. Key Sanity, yes, but we're not playing Key Sanity today.
How dare you bring up that Devil's Mode? How dare you?
Sorry, I didn't mean to say the K word.
All right, Pro about to get his the end of his Aghanim care package from Zora.
Master using it, and you can have this for 500 rupees.
All right, Zora, let's drop off that sword upgrade for Pro, and let's see what if there's any rage slashes that go along with.
No, it looks like it's just stun silent disappointment. And the stun prize actually is a single heart. So if they're hurting for health, they can always stun kill something for health.
Hitsuyan is making quite useful work of using that red meringue in very good ways. I can't think of a better word right now. I don't know why. Good ways. Good ways.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good item usage that I've seen over the course of my commentary and over the tournaments. So I've been very happy to see all the ingenuity involved. Kudos. Chat pointing out too, they saw one of them saw a blind pedestal pull to get the Cane of Samaria. That's crazy. Thankfully not here, but you know, it's rolling pretty hard already. They need a break. And Hitsuyan with the first hit on Aga, second hit on Aga.
So far, you know, I'm not going to say it because then it's going to happen. So far, Aghanim fight's going well.
4, and time for the mandatory shocking moment. Amazingly none. Wow, that RNG lined up really nice for Hitsuyan and will for Pro too.
We all just lived through a fabled moment, the zero blue ball moment, so everyone enjoy that moment in history right there. As we find, it looks like Child's first shield on the pyramid, so it looks like we have a few options here. We can go to Hype Cave to the south if we'd like. We could dip into Pod, which we know is a pendant, but of course, pendant and Pod always has something.
And once they find the hook shot, they'll be able to full clear swamp as well.
All right, Hype Cave, let's see if you live up to your former glory or if you live up to your present disappointment. Oh, chat pointing out that these runners don't have, this is like the rupee poor seed. It's like farming to get everywhere. Oh, we do find gloves though in Hype Cave, so the hype is starting.
Hitsuyan is not, oh, a silver, and my gosh. Hype Cave, bringing the hype. We got fetch quest item, we got boots, we got power glove, we've got, oh my gosh, silver arrows. They don't have to do silverless Ganon.
That was the hypest cave I think I've seen in a long time.
I am a thoroughly pleased fellow. 9 out of 10. Good review on Yelp.
So now, of course, with the boots, these runners have Bonk Rocks. They also have King's Tomb with the use of that mirror. They aren't going to be going back to that library ledge, but it normally is an option as well.
Boy, just going in a Hype Cave, they have so much open to them now. I think it's going to put them right back on track. So all that slow start there, probably worth it to go check out Hype Cave.
And of course, now the game is throwing at them rupees and more rupees. So that's good. That means they have some rupees for Pod. It looks like Hitsuyan's going to take care of the dig game first, and then we'll see where he goes from there. And of course, with the boots, we are desert unlocked at this point.
Unfortunately, they won't be able to go into Village of Outcasts through this way, at least for Hitsuyan. We still have to find the Titan's Mitt. Though that's nothing a little mirror and flute couldn't fix. All that work for a piece of heart. And Proa opting to pick up the shield here. I find the shield's a good choice. Starting out, it's not that great, but once you get it leveled up a progression or two, it actually becomes pretty useful. So it's an investment in that regard. And Proa gonna have to farm for Pod. Hitsuyan going around, gonna do their Village of Outcast check or dip into Skull Woods first. Yep, Skull Woods it looks like is the play. They're not gonna be able to go in the back of it, but they will be able to see if there's the two items there anyway. So that's it's not bad. They'll have to come back to complete it though.
Well, Pro's about to get super hype in his hype cave check, and I'm sure be very, very excited with the spoils of the cave of former and present hype.
I know that if I wasn't commentating, I would be squealing like a girl right now. A little girl. Yes.
All right, well, Hitsuyan's going to have to go into this Gibdo room now to get the key to progress onward in Swamp. I'm sorry, in Skullwoods, and we'll see hopefully if you have any items there. All right, well, Hitsuyan's going to take a look at this really obnoxious Gibdo room to see if there's an item in the chest in the back. Finding a key, getting pretty frustrated, waiting for the Wallmaster to take him out of the dungeon, and then likely we'll be heading, I would imagine, southbound to Thieves Town. All right, well, Hitsuyan's going to check that bumper ledge, and not a bad check to have this early. Again, one of those peace of mind checks. Even if you can't grab it at this very moment, it looks like we have another rupee drop. For the amount of rupees that these runners needed, it's always like a slap in the face to get this rupee drop afterward. And it looks like he's going to also route in Graveyard and Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb, which is, I think, excellent routing. All right, Bonk Rocks holding the cane. That is a pretty hype item. So he gets the cane from Bonk Rocks, which of course opens up when he gets those Titan's Mitts. When he gets those, it will open up Misery Mire for him. All right, checking the graveyard ledge. We'll see what Hitsuyan finds here as Pro continues his dive into Desert Palace. Of course, it is a crystal, so I think this is a pretty good move on his part just to get this out of the way. And only a big 20 from the graveyard ledge. We did find the bow in Desert, which is, thank you, chat, for pointing that out, is pretty hype items. We have Cane, we have bow. Of course, now this could open up pod, and this does open up pod, and perhaps we'll have a few items in there, but definitely makes Eastern Palace completable.
King's Tomb check gets half magic. Beautiful. I like it.
I have to say half magic is one of my favorite sort of safety items, especially when you get into that Ganon fight. And if you have, obviously you have to light the torches, and if you miss that torch glitch, it's a nice little insurance policy.
So I'm looking to see too. It looks like we get a bow and a Cane of Samaria?
We did indeed. The bow was in Desert Palace, and the cane was in Bonkrocks.
Oh, interesting. I'm stoked about the bow, and I know Phantom Ryu is totally stoked over that cane.
So we're seeing some definite runner divergence here. We have Pro finishing up that Crystal Dungeon, Desert Palace, and we find the Titan's Mitts in Thieves Town. Well, that is a great find.
Semi-vanilla Titan's Mitt right there. So that definitely is exciting. It opens up a lot more for them.
We also have a bottle find, which is going to open up Sit Kid for Hitsuyan. And having those Titan's Mitts also opens up Dark Death Mountain and not Hookshot Cave yet, except for the first item with those boots, but does open up Dark Death Mountain for some checks as well.
Nice to know. And suddenly, all within the span of a few minutes, they're starting to catch up in the progression items. So this has got to be a relief. I would imagine both of them are feeling really behind right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're really starting to pull out all the stops here.
Pro is opting to continue his crystal hunt. He's going to finish up Eastern Palace here. I wonder if he is thinking perhaps pod is the next play for him, because he does have that hammer, he does have the bow, the lamp for those dark rooms. It could be that Pendant Pod has something for them.
It could very well be. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't... Oh yeah, because it's a pendant dungeon. A little surprised I didn't set a mirror waypoint though anyway, so you could just go right into Eastern afterwards, but you never know. And the Rattler Room, as I've dubbed it.
It's a good name for that room.
One of those few noises I try to get stopped in this game as soon as possible. And Tempered Sword, we're finding some nice finds in Thieves Town here today.
Of course, Thieves Town has 4 items. I believe we have at least 2, perhaps even 3 items so far. So we will see maybe a blind has another item. If we have an item in the big chest, and of course having hammer, that'll be helpful. So we will see what Thieves Town has for the rest of its treasures.
Hey, when you can get your mitts on the mitts, it's a good dungeon indeed. Might want to be careful there, Hitsuyan, running a little low on health. And just a piece of heart in the maiden's chest, so one more item to be found. And is Hitsuyan opting to skip the big chest? No, we can't get the big chest yet. That does not have a key.
Indeed, no key for Hitsuyan. It could be that the key is in the big chest. I've seen that happen before. So we'll see. I haven't kept a very accurate count of items, so we'll see. Perhaps Blind has the last item here. Or I don't know that I've ever seen Blind have the big key. I don't know that no, it can't be a possibility. I don't know that I've ever seen Blind have a small key. Let me revise that statement.
First time for everything, but Blind, I have to say, is one of those that's near and dear to my heart. Hitsuyan's got to be careful, though. Only half a heart of health and a lot of bullet spam. Ew! Blind death.
Yeah, Blind is one of those fights that is said to be scripted. Of course, I'm not off book yet, so I know the pain and suffering of that. But the good news is that Blind doesn't. You don't need to go back up and rebomb the floor and pick up Blind from the cell. She or he is, I think it's a she, is going to respawn right in the place where you left her.
Who knows with Blind? But we all know that Blind is a very good pun master in Rando, so Blind is always near and dear to my heart in these runs. I'm sure you too.
I guess near and dear is a way to describe what Blind means to me.
So chat's saying that Blind can't have a small key due to soft lock. So yeah, you don't want to get locked out of nothing.
The more you know. Rainbow across the sky, or star rather. Oh, another death for Hitsuyan. Let me tell you, when you start getting in the cycle of death with Blind and you don't have safeties and you don't have potion, it can get kind of tilting. So it looks like he's going to nope out. He may go down south to get the potion from the shop here in Thieves Town. In the Village of Outcasts.
That wouldn't be a bad call, though. Not much from the chess game, unfortunately.
Hey, virtual high five from the runners, both in the Village of Outcasts, checking some of those overworld locations.
And going in the same hut and finding the same 50 rupees. Thankfully, since they're in parallel universes, they don't have to fight over the money.
Do a Sick Kid check for Hitsuyan with his bottle and see what Sick Kid has for him today as Pro picks up a bottle. So we have a bottle and a bottle check, and Sick Kid has just some love for the runners.
Bring some medicine, and he loved you. Unfortunately, there was no medicine inside. Probably just a placebo in that bottle.
All right, Hitsuyan giving another shot here at Blind, and Pro is getting his heart and likely will be dipping into Thieves Town very shortly.
Yeah, hopefully so. Gonna find some good stuff in that, but opting not to. Looks like I'm gonna turn in that mushroom.
You know, not a bad idea. These early fetch quests can sometimes yield some really nice items. Plus, of course, with the empty bottle, Pro could pick up a safety. It looks like we are getting some cane strats here from Hitsuyan. I really enjoy seeing the cane strats on the Blind fight.
And just a single arrow as part of the fetch quest, but getting some health nonetheless. I agree too. I always love seeing the Cane of Samaria used in the fight. It is such a Swiss Army knife of weapons, especially in this game. It is amazing.
All right, Hitsuyan, third time's a charm, picking up a compass from Blind. Again, I think there's some irony in there, but I'll withhold that irony.
I'm sure Blind just wants to point you in the right direction. But I think this is a good time to mention that since we're an hour in, it's definitely a good time to say follow the runners. They've been doing a really good job today and have been very patient, especially with their farming. So if you like what you've seen so far, please give them a Twitch follow. They've been doing amazing for us and have been brave to do a match for our entertainment today. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you to the runners and Hitsuyan turning in his mushroom. To see what the witch has, just throwing an accidental ice rod shot, or maybe not so accidental, at the witch outside. Only a single arrow from the witch's hut. So That is not going to be something that Hitsuyan picks up.
Yeah, that's kind of like dirt cheap, which is really poor. Potions haven't been in high demand lately.
Aha, indeed, Hitsuyan is going to go into Misery Mire and probably do the Desert play next, which is a really great routing choice for runners as they go in. And unfortunately, doesn't have the bow for Vitreous, so it's going to be a little bit more of a challenging fight. But with that half magic, well, no, there's no safeties for him either, so it'll be a bit of a challenging. But it looks like he's going to do Desert first and get his bow, which will then lead him into Misery Mire.
And bow with silver arrows, definitely the choice of items you're going to want to fight Vitreous with to do Clear Eyes. Seriously, those silver arrows will kill them so fast, you go, wow.
Yeah, this was a good move by Hitsuyan. You know, of course, he's going to be picking up his bow momentarily. Had he dipped into Misery Mire first, it would have been, as I said, a little bit more of a challenging fight with Vitreous, but it's good that he's doing this first. Some runners will do it in the opposite direction. We'll do Misery Mire first and then Desert. But I think he's probably thinking, you know, good idea to see what's in here first, and then we'll take on Misery Mire if we need to.
Yeah, it's quick. It's 2 items. They can full clear it now. It's got a crystal. Why not? And then, of course, that mirroring out saves a lot of backtracking time.
Hey, Rick, we are 2 items away from go mode, chat pointing out, and they are as they usually are. They are absolutely correct.
Hey, they are always on par, so just need Hookshot, we need Fire Rod, and then Whoosh. For as mean as the seed has started out, it has really been easing up at the end. I may be speaking too soon, but like I say, I just calls them like I sees them. And nice, Pro getting a new heart container from the Piece of Heart in the Maiden's Chest.
All right, well, Pro is going into his boss fight with Blind as Hitsuyan's going into his with Land Mollusk. So we have a dueling boss battle here, although it's going to be a very short dueling boss battle as Hitsuyan disposes of Land Mollusk with those silver arrows.
And very nicely done, Lamel's boss fight. Another reason why silver arrows are a great pickup to have early. And
Pro did an excellent job there with Blind.
Blind can really be a struggle if you're not careful, so it's always really nice to see a good, clean Blind fight to kind of put him in his place and go back to writing puns.
All right, well, let's see what's in Mire Shed. It looks like Hitsuyan's going to do Mire Shed, and then likely is going to go to Checkerboard Cave to do those checks, and then probably dip into Mire. We got a blue goo bottle and the hook shot.
50%.
So one item away.
50% there to go mode. So now the big question on everybody's mind, where is that fire rod? Where can my fire rod be? It's not in Checkerboard Cave.
Took the words right out of my mouth. But with that hookshot, those runners also open up Hookshot Cave on Dark Death Mountain. As it looks like Pro is taking the smithy back home, maybe doing the purple chest after, could do the hammer pegs as well.
Could very well be, so we're not out of the running with trolling yet, but it's definitely eased up. And with that hookshot, that's going to be really useful in getting around, if nothing else, getting around quicker.
All right, well, we're about to see what Peg Cave has as Hitsuyan is dipping into Mire for hopefully a quick run in and a quick run out after Vitreous, and we'll see what what those two items are in Mire for the runners.
And Pro scolding a skeleton chicken and getting 50 rupees in the process.
The lunchbox being a little obstinate for Pro, picking it up, mirroring out, and then likely fluting on over to 7 to drop that off with Gary.
I didn't know our thief had a name. Cool. And just a compass in that one. Mire is always one of those things where the big key determines how difficult it's going to be to get through the dungeon.
Looks like Pro also routing in the Magic Bat, so we will see, or maybe not. Looks like he's going back into the portal. And let's see what he does. He might be... I don't know what he's doing. We'll see what he's going to do. Of course, Magic Bat is completable if you do know the powder glitch, so he may not know that, and he may just be opting to go check out, see what else he can find.
I don't know. I don't think he has Cane of Samaria to pull it off, though, yet.
Oh, you are right. He does not have the cane, and the Cane of Samaria, that was... I believe it was that in Bonk Rocks, right?
Indeed. So hopefully he doesn't forget about the bonk rocks there. And Hitsuyan having to do it the slower way without the fire rod, which unfortunate, but you know, if that's all the option you got, that's all you got. That's rando rolling for you.
All right, let's see what's in Vanilla Big Key chest for Hitsuyan, and it is a big key, so that isn't that just fortuitous?
Vanilla seems to be the flavor of Mire, but I prefer chocolate.
Pro picking up his 300 rupee drop at cave 45 and going back into the portal as Hitsuyan's going to probably go ahead and check a couple of chests here. We got another chest coming up here, and then of course the big key chest.
And just a map in that one, so we may have an item on Vitreous here after all. Unless I had miscounted. But I don't think we found any. I think we just found like a lot of keys and stuff.
All right, big key is big chest is a heart and a refill, which is nice. And we'll see what's in this last chest before he heads his way over to Vitreous. It is just another key.
So yeah, it looks like Vitreous is going to have the last item. So it'll be interesting to see what it is.
Chat pointing out a possibility of Fire Rod on Cold Stare. Now, that's rough. In my race yesterday, Ice Rod was on Cold Stare, so you know what? I'm not putting anything past him.
And Pro A getting the Cane of Samaria will not be copying Phantom Ryu for fear of copyright infringement.
I don't think either runner has checked our favorite aquatic being Catfish either, so I wonder what, if anything, he might have on him.
That's a good call too. Could have the Fire Rod as well.
Pro doing some nice routing by getting all those graveyard checks in while he is in the graveyard area, as Hitsuyan is going to go ahead and take out Vitreous quite handily with those silver arrows, I'm sure.
Oh yes, it's time for those clear eyes. And that's precisely why I call it as such. And nothing but 2 pieces of heart and mire. Slightly disappointing, but a crystal is always great to continue on, so we'll take what we can get. And that is, I believe, the 3rd crystal for Hitsuyan.
So crystal count being taken into consideration, both runners are neck and neck, and it does look like Pro is going to do the catfish check. Now, as a runner, where do you go next in Hitsuyan's situation? I'm thinking if it were me, you have Ice Palace open to you, and it sometimes does have some pretty important items, so perhaps you go there. Or it looks like he's going to do Swamp Palace to take care of that crystal first.
Yeah, that's what I would do. If I have hook shot, I want to go into swamp because that has 6 items, so the probability in that the fire rod is going to be there is a lot higher than maybe some other places. So that's where I'm going to be thinking.
Of course, being able to go mode Swamp Palace is a lot more advantageous for runners. But when you have to full clear, looking for that that fire rod rather.
Yeah, it does take some time, and there's definitely 2 ways that I've seen runners go about it. The first is to play it like go mode and then go back and do the left side, or go do the left side first and then go take care of Argus. And Pro A getting their hook shot as well, so we are a fire rod away with both runners. And Pro A not liking the checkerboard cave either, and just a big 10 arrows from the first item in Swamp.
Pro about to open up with Quake his Misery Mire adventure as Hitsuyan continues on in Swamp Palace. And as you said before, Rick, we have 6 items here that will hopefully yield some go mode for Hitsuyan. But we shall see. It may just be a big bust, but a crystal nonetheless.
Yeah, hopefully it'll work out a little bit better than some half love from Meyer. So we'll see. I always find that either pod or swamp tends to be the pretty loaded dungeon. So checking swamp here gets me always hype a little bit. And just a compass on the south, so we'll see if he's going to check left side or not. Not yet, it looks like.
Yeah, just going straight back, and we'll see if he picks up maybe a big key back here too. I've found that I usually go back once I have that big key, just for peace of mind, but we'll see what he ends up doing as he checks these back chests here in Swamp Palace.
And nice use of the hook shot, splitting the red Bari into Beatty.
All right, we have 2 chests upcoming and then a third after that to see what we have here. We have the big key, and we have a big 20. So I guess the theme of that room was big things. And then, of course, we're going to be checking this block push chest here. I wonder if Hitsuyan's going to go back for that big key check, or maybe he'll wait to do left side and big key all out at once. And that's exactly what he's doing.
Do you as a runner, do you check left side first, or did you say you tend to skip it and come back?
I check left side, but I also have a thing about being like super duper thorough the first time through, and it changes. I'm not when I'm not running. It's hard to say what I would do. So but I usually check left side. Yes.
That's fair. I tend to full clear when I do it too, so I don't blame you. And we should be having a pretty cinchy Argus fight here. Argus, definitely the opposite of blind in boss difficulty.
Hitsuyan taking out those silver arrows, hoping to dispatch of Argus pretty quickly, and a fun archery game here.
Diagonals are always fun, and that's why Argus travels in them. But all it takes is one hit to get the other cane, the Cane of Burna.
Of course,
So
having that Cane of Burna has now opened up as a possibility Spike Cave. So we will see if maybe the runners route in Spike Cave, and maybe that's where our fire rod has been hiding all along.
That too, never hurts to check those one-off locations, because I always say it's one of those things where it's the place that you don't check is the item you need. So always valuable to check everything.
Hitsuyan is indeed going back, and he's going to check that big key chest, and then he's probably going to check left side if he doesn't find what he wants. And then we'll see where he goes from there. He's got a few options open to him, so we shall see.
And now we get the unseen wall opening cutscene here. So a little time to gather thoughts.
All right, big chest having a big 20. So so far nothing of value from other than the Kingdom Burnout for Hitsuyan and Swamp Palace.
Kind of one of those things that may pay off later, but for now, not looking like a very major swamp at the moment. Still a couple of things on the left side to check, but other than that, not really much beyond the crystal.
No, I'm feeling Ice Palace as the next play. I don't know why. I just feel like that's the way I feel like I need to go next.
Hey, that's a possible hunch. Sometimes those items are always hiding in the ironic areas. Because Rando does like to roll ironically sometimes.
All right, first left side is a big 20. This is like the Palace of Big 20s for Hitsuyan. And let's see what the second item is. It is a pack of bombs. So out he goes. Could be going to Dark Death Mountain. Could be tipping into a pendant dungeon. We will see what fancy he has. It looks like he is warping back to the light world. He's taking out that flute, and indeed Dark Mountain is going to be his play.
Yeah, because, if nothing else, Hookshot does have 4 chests ready and waiting to go. Waiting to be opened, and I don't remember if we saw what was on the island or not. Another great use of that hookshot there, too, for the speed glitch. So for those who don't know, if you do the item glitch with the hookshot on stairs, when you come off of them, you'll be in a super speed state. It is one of the minor glitches that our runners are allowed to use in the tournament. And we're getting a look in Super Bunny Cave. So not quite getting the blocks in time, but that's okay. This way is a little bit slower.
Yeah, I
Now
find that I'd rather opt for mirror block glitch there than hook shot because I'm still working on that myself. So it is a bit challenging to get, but not a huge loss of time not getting it. And we'll be checking what's in these two items, two item locations right now. We have a big 20, and we have a piece of heart. So nothing so far. We will see what's in Hookshot Cave.
once again seeing red in there, but we may see the right kind of red shortly here. And Pro A making some quick work of Vitreous, but got shocking. And there's the green rupee, even worse. So not a heck of a lot paying off from Hookshot Cave, unfortunately.
Yeah, Hookshot Cave, a big bummer, of course. He's got a couple of options available to him. Hitsuyan could go check that Spike Cave. It looks like he may be opting to flute away instead, wondering where he will be going next. And it looks like he's going to take a gamble in pod to see if maybe Helmasaur's lair has something of value for him.
Not a bad gamble, Paul. Pod, like I said about Pod and Swamp, those two have been game deal breakers. So I always say it's always worth it to check in a pod, even if it's penned in dungeon. And that money grubby monkey right there. If you didn't have to open, you didn't need to open Palace of Darkness, I would just cheat him with that one single green rupee. And
All right, well, it's... Go ahead.
As I said, Pro A diving in the swamp, but go ahead, buddy.
I was going to say that pod does have 5 unique items here, but it looks like he's going to opt to clear out Eastern Palace first. Not a bad move, just kind of get that out of the way. And then likely we'll be diving into pod next to see if hopefully one of those 5 items is the play for him. And Pro is now heading into Swamp. So these runners not very far apart. I know that, of course, Hitsuyan's got a few more checks than Pro, but this race really could go in any direction at this point, especially if Pro runs across this fire rod first.
That's the fun of Rando. Sometimes an hour and a half in, there's still no clear-cut winner. That's always the exciting back and forth nature of this. And absolutely with silver arrows, Hitsuyan will be making quick work of Eastern Palace here. So I guess if nothing happens to turn up in pod for Hitsuyan as a runner, where do you go next? Where do you think?
I mean, I still really have that deep sense of feeling that it is an Ice Palace. It is, again, another irony having a Fire Rod and Ice Palace, but, it all depends on Hitsuyan's moves. If Pro finishes off Swamp and heads that way and finds Fire Rod there, and he kind of is digging around in pod and doesn't find anything, that could change the pacing of the race.
Exactly. So there is a chance for divergence here. Hitsuyan, I think, kind of taking the way a little more clearing efficiency, but Pro A could very well go to Ice Palace from here too. So we could see some interesting strats go on here.
Yeah, I think this is good routing by Hitsuyan just to kind of lump these two places in at once. You know, you have a pen and dungeon. fully clearable with 5 items possibility, and you have a crystal dungeon that you had to complete. So I don't necessarily disagree with this move. Um, you know, and again, Fire Rod has a lot of different locations it could be in right now, and so we'll see if hopefully he's picked the right one. But it's hard to know, and so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think Pro will be checking Pod as right away either. Since he's already completed Eastern, it's kind of a little more out of the way in his routing. So I would kind of expect going to Ice Palace to be his next maneuver, unless he decides on something different. And Pod definitely living up to its old name that I remember hearing on one of my first videos of Mullet Dungeon, where it's business in the front, party in the back. I've seen that come back a lot in this tournament, at least for the runs that I've commentated for. So maybe it should be going back to that name.
You know, I was just going to say that, Rick. Dr. Bob Tastic, I believe, was the one to coin that phrase of Pod being the mullet dungeon. So we're feeling pretty 80s here. We're feeling going to turn up the Toto and hope that there's some party in the back for Hitsuyan.
Well, there's definitely some party right there. That's for sure. Pod is the play. There is the Fire Rod. Hitsuyan knows we have a go mode, I believe.
Indeed, in 1 hour and 31 minutes, we have go mode for Hitsuyan. So there he goes. He's going to be starting to just steamroll over these dungeons to start clearing and getting his way closer to Ganon's Tower. I'm hoping that Pro does make the Pod play now, because if he makes that Ice Palace play like I would have, it's going to put him quite behind.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see what he opts to do. Because I know Ice Palace would be the good routing play, but we know now that it is not the way to go. So it's gonna be interesting to see what comes next. Hitsuyan going so fast, I'm surprised that Fire Rod's not leaving a fire trail for him.
And he's got 2 keys, so I believe he's good to go for the remainder here. So he'll quickly make his way to, I would say, my least favorite boss, which is Mothula. So, and he'll be using that half magic very fastly to take Mothula out.
Yeah, the only way you can get any faster with Mothula is maybe the Butter Sword, but you're not going to be looking for that now. You've got a lot of fantastic items. You don't need Butter Sword at this point. And let's see, hopefully Mothula won't be bugging Hitsuyan here.
Pro using those Kinis Samaria strats to reopen that door and head back into the Argus fight, as Hitsuyan is just spamming those Fire Rod attacks onto Mothula and taking him out quite handily.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to keep Mothula on the top of the screen, as there's some bugginess with the with how Mothula takes damage when around the spikes. So, but thankfully, a good quick fight on that, and we have our next crystal.
Now, Hitsuya must be feeling pretty good, because his last crystal dungeon, it looks like his last crystal dungeon is T-Rock, and everyone likes to end on T-Rock because then, of course, Ganon's Tower is just right next door, so that's got to be making him feel happy, although I wonder if at this point he feels behind, and if he's wondering if Pro has made the similar plays to him.
That could be too, because he's definitely going with a mission here. The other good spot to end up as for a last dungeon too, though it does not come up nearly as often, Tower of Hera.
I would agree. That's a nice location for a last dungeon. Of course, you could Dark Death Mountain on your way up, and then mirror into the light world, go into Hera, and then mirror back. So that is also a nice location. As it looks like Pro is just about ready to take out Argus with those 2 sword spins with Tempered Sword, getting his Cane of Burna, and we'll see what he does next. Hopefully, again, it's that pod play.
We're about to see, but as I always say, it ain't over until the Fat Fairy sings. And is Pro making the pod play? Not yet.
He's making a Dark Death Mountain play. I don't remember if he checked Hookshot Cave yet. I know that Hitsuyan, I believe, did. So he may be doing a couple of Dark Death Mountain plays before he decides on a pendant dungeon dip.
I know a good routing, a good call to check him, just with the amount of items. But we know that where the fire rod is at this point, so that's it's gonna be rough. Big key right away in Turtle Rock.
That's right. Pro did not check this tablet over here, so he's going to get his Rupee Hoard. Of course, that is not what he's looking for, but certainly it helps if you need to buy some safeties later.
That and more for the college fund for the kids.
One of my favorite dash items, the Cane of Burna. Dash into that room, gets a small key, gets a heart piece, and dashing his way out.
Nice and clean, and Pro checking Spike Cave.
I think this is, something that if, of course, as commentators, as an audience, we know where he needs to go, but as a runner, this is not a bad thing. You think, let me check some of these overworld locations and see if maybe it's in a one-off before I really commit to a dungeon dive.
But unfortunately, only seeing red again.
Hitsuyan makes his way through the Chain Chomp room without too much damage, and then, of course, he's going to go ahead and get the key from the Pokey and likely head on out to continue his journey through T-Rock. Of course, T-Rock Go Mode isn't a whole lot quicker than T-Rock Full Clear, of course, especially if there's a key on Laser Bridge.
Yeah, but yeah, so sometimes it's not a bad idea to open a chest or two if you're there if you still need something. So that's that wouldn't be a bad call either. I wonder if Pro is going to go check out some of the Dark Death Mountain locations and then maybe scoot over to Turtle Rock as part of a routing maneuver.
I've definitely seen in a few matches that Turtle Rock double dip has been required for items, and so in the back of his head, he may be thinking that's exactly what the seed would like him to do. As Hitsuyan does exit through that bombable wall and is going to re-enter with the. It looks like he might be. I thought maybe he was going to do Mimic Cave. I wasn't quite sure why, but nope, he's going to go ahead and continue on in T-Rock here with the Cape. Not a bad safety to have going into again with that half magic.
Yeah, if Pro goes into Turtle Rock, though, I think he's going to be sadly not having a good time in that Light the Torches pit room there. Hitsuyan taking a little quick divergence to go get some health and magic. Not seen that. Interesting. Knows very, very well that layout.
Good news for Hitsuyan is he does have the key, so he's not going to have to even check Laser Bridge. He's going to go right on through to his final crystal dungeon boss, which is Trinix, of course. And, I have been seeing some really impressive execution from Hitsuyan. I think he's kind of playing like his hair is on fire at this point. He may feel like he's pretty behind.
And kids, that's why you don't play with a fire rod. And nicely done, Firehead. Trinix, we're about to knock out the ice. Oh, just being very dodgy right now. Still takes very quick work a bit, though. Does need to be careful. Keep an eye on the health there. Only 4 hearts left. However, this does tend to be the easier part of the Trinix fight anyway, so making short work of that. And with that, Profe, do you know what time it is?
I sure do. We are about to start a fun little game here we have in the Link to the Past Randomizer community. Is the Ganon Big Key guessing game. Where that is.
So basically, there are 22 different possible locations in Ganon's Tower for the big chest to be. Since we are in a speed gaming channel, you can earn leaderboard points. You may also earn a special prize as well that has little to no relevance. But anyway, what are you thinking, buddy? What do you think it's in?
I always guess 14, but hurry up and get your guesses in because we're about to close the game as Hitsuyan is going to enter the tower. And again, if you have donated 250 bits to any speed gaming channel or are subscribed, you can get that leaderboard. So we're about to stop the game as Hitsuyan is going to enter the tower.
Well, since I'm a commentator and not actually playing for realties, I'm going to guess 8, the fire bar room during normal routing. Number 2 already. What a generous Ganon's Tower. That was blink and you miss it for this game, folks. And with that, we'll find out who managed to guess number 2 first. And Hitsuyan wisely getting an extra key, because you do need that to progress up to Ganon's Tower. Otherwise, you're going to be sorely disappointed when you try to go fight Moldorm again.
All right, so Hitsuyan making his way up and trying to get our big key game in order here. It may be that no one has guessed number 2. Let's see who got closest to it. Thank you, chat, and it looks like Saint Von Jester gets it with number 6 closest.
Congratulations! You have also won my consolation prize of an all-expense-paid day at the Swamp Palace Spa in the Dark World with no Moon Pearl. Feel completely like a whole new you.
Speaking of which, I don't think we saw what the bunny beam was for the guard sprite, and that's a little unfortunate. That makes me sad.
I'll have to load that up outside of here and tell you later.
Hitsuyan is doing really well in these gauntlet rooms. Again, I think he's really playing like he feels like he's behind, which is a very strong motivator, I'm sure.
Absolutely, and just blazing a trail. I'm surprised that the ice tiles there aren't melting as he walks on them the way he's playing. Not quite the first run, but always a chance at the second time. Sometimes those arrows are hard to time on land mollas. And Pro now dipping into pod, and hopefully we'll be getting their fire rods sooner than later for their go mode.
All right, we'll see if Hitsuyan does the Canis Samaria and nails it on that Wizrobe room, continuing his really quick run through Ganon's Tower here, getting that lamp queued up for the next room.
Yeah, that second Canis Samaria Wizrobe room, that is a trickier looking one than it looks. Our runners make it look easy, but God, that takes a lot of practice.
Does need to pick up that key in a mini Helmastorm just to make his way through. He gets that key, and off he goes into the next couple of rooms, terminating, of course, in Moldorm 2. I didn't see if Hitsuyan has any safeties. I'd be a little nervous right now if I were Hitsuyan with 2.5 hearts. Did he pick up any blue go? I think he may have one.
I think there's one there, but not a whole heck of a lot. Does want to be careful in Moldorm 2, though. And very nicely done with the dash strats on Moldorm 2. No revenge for Moldorm today.
Pro gets his fire rod. He mirrors straight out of pod, and he's going to be on his way to hitting go. He has go mode himself at 147, and he's going to go ahead and pick up probably a couple safeties himself, and then go mode these dungeons leading to Ganon's Tower.
And bombs in that final chest of Ganon's Tower, so not too much.
All right, we're on to Aghanim 2, or Trigonagonum Tree, as I like to call him. He's the fun mathematical boss of angles, and so we'll see how well Hitsuyan does and what patterns he gets.
That is amazing, and you should keep that. Nice double there.
I think that counted as a single.
Yeah, unfortunately, you cannot combine the power of the balls, but it looks like that's not a big deal. Hitsuyan knocking on the door saying, "Hey, Ganon, I'm coming for you." See, surprised it was Ganon all along. Gasp.
I guess we should have called spoiler alert out first.
What do you mean? We need to like ruin the game for this chat here.
All right, Hitsuyan going in. I think he's used his blue goo, so he is no safeties going into Ganon. Of course, feeling behind, he may just want to see if he can do it without.
Exactly, and hopefully he doesn't get too reckless trying to do the Ganon fight to take care of it. We do know that he has a pretty substantial lead, so even if there's a fall once or twice, it's not going to make any major difference, I think, right now in this run.
Yeah, he's got a pretty sizable lead on Pro, so I mean, there'd have to be some pretty feels bad man moments for him to fall behind. But you know, again, anything can happen. We're still 2 phases away from GG.
It ain't over until the Fat Fairy sings. As I say it once, I'll say it again. And I have seen runs where I've commentated a run of a crazy come from behind back victory, so that so rings true.
All right, Pro's taking on Mothula as we have the soon to be end of phase 3 if Ganon stops teleporting around the room.
Yes, this time we did find the arrows.
It's that torch glitch.
It's gonna make life a lot easier. All he has to do is play kind of conservatively here, and it's that's all she wrote.
We're one more away, and Hitsuyan takes out the big pig. And as soon as we get his speed racing time, we'll announce 2 GGs in the chat for Hitsuyan1337.
Absolutely, congratulations at. I'll use his time for now until we find out the official time, but about 1:50:34 on his timer, though that's not the official speed gaming time at the moment.
We do have an official speed racing TV time of 1:50:32 for Hitsuyan. GG to Hitsuyan. We'll see if he wants an interview on his well-played match, which is a sub-2. Nice job.
Yeah, the way that seed was going, I wasn't expecting a sub-2 at all, but surprised me there. And in the meantime, we got T-Rock, and then we should have a fairly quick Ganon's Tower from Pro 2. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And today it's Shmearing for Saharzala.
All right, well, Pro's going to be wrapping up soon his last crystal dungeon and then running into Ganon's Tower. Still really, for what the seed has been throwing at these runners, a very good time he's keeping right now.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, at the beginning when they really had to farm and look around the overworld, I was expecting more, at least 2.5 for these. So having a sub 2-hour win is very surprising, and even a 2-hour runner-up, that's not anything to sneeze at either.
All right, well, in just a minute, Hitsuyan's going to be joining us for a very quick interview, and we will get him in here.
Oh, great. No, oh, there's a big key. Be good to have Hitsuyan in here.
Hello.
Hitsuyan?
Yeah, hello. GG.
Hey, GG to you too. Congratulations on your win there. How you holding up there?
Yeah, I feel fine now. The seed was a little bit trolly at the start with the Zora.
Oh my goodness, yes. I saw y'all having to scour every nook and cranny. That was just not nice.
So, Hitsuyan, I have a quick question. So we, as commentators, are looking at, you had 2 pending dungeons that could have held your last item, which is, of course, the Fire Rod. What sort of drove you to go to Pod versus Ice Palace?
I go to Pot because, yeah, first Ice is a cheat dungeon. Everyone know it. And the second one was because I need still Eastern and I can mirror to Pot. That was the decision because I go Pot first and it have more items.
Nice routing calls there. I definitely can't argue with that.
Of course, yeah, that turned out to be a really good decision for you, Hitsuyan, going into that Pod dungeon and finishing off Eastern just prior, so that was the right move. Was there anything in the sea, when you were farming for rupees for Zora, what were you thinking that you were going to find on Zora?
I was very mad after I see the Master Sword. I was thinking he trolled me the whole time. And I get no crystal after 50 minutes. I never get a seed like this.
Yeah, having a late Aghanim seed, a later Aghanim seed is certainly something that no one wants to see. We do have a quick question for chat. They ask if you considered going into T-Rock to see if maybe a fire rod was in that first chest after doing Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah, it's possible, but the chance is very... Oh, I don't find the word for this. My English is not the best.
That's okay. Not a big problem.
Thanks.
Well,
Yeah,
Rick, I know
most
that...
of-
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Hitsuyan.
Yeah, most of my decisions is to go to the locations that have the must items.
Of course, that's always a good decision, going into those really rich, item-dense areas. So I know that your time is short with us. Rick, I do have one more question, but before I ask that, do you have anything left for Hitsuyan before he has to head out?
I don't have anything personally. I feel like the scene kind of really explained itself really well. I do wonder, how behind did you feel like you were behind the whole time just because you had to do that farming for rupees and everything like that?
Yeah, I feel it a little bit behind, but I know what the enemy can, and yeah.
Because I was really impressed at you blazing a trail through just go moding like that. That was like go in capital letters right there. Good job on that.
Thank you. My thinking is I played very bad. So many bonks and other shit that happens.
Sometimes it can't be helped, and that happens. So, but hey, you managed to get the victory in anyway. So it's what happens at the end, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, Tsuyan, last question for you, and then we will let you enjoy the rest of your day. And GG, and of course, I have to echo what Rick was saying, and your execution really heated up as you worked through those go mode dungeons. My last question for you is, what is one thing that you take away from the seed, one thing that maybe you'll do differently next time, one thing that you learned from the seed?
Maybe to farm rupees at the start after sync. On the right side before I get flippers. Because without mids you cannot farm rupees so fast. Or I don't know the location to do it.
That's a good departing lesson for you. So great job, GG, today for you, Hitsuyan, and we wish you the best moving on. Of course, going 2-2 now, and we wish you have a great rest of your day. So thank you for putting on quite a show for us today here on Speed Gaming 3.
Yes. Thank you. That was exciting.
Yeah, thanks. And I have to say thanks to you too for commentating, tracking, and all other stuff you do in this tournament.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Not a nice job, I think. I cannot do that.
I think once you get done with your day, you definitely ought to watch this back. This is that was pretty good for you. I think you'll like what you see.
Yeah, I will do it. And
Well,
a
Hitsuyan,
nice
thanks
day for
stopping
you
by.
too.
Oh, sorry. Have a great day, Hitsuyan. Thanks for stopping by for an interview. I'm sorry I cut you off there. And we really appreciate, of course, your words of gratitude for everyone in the community. And we look forward to seeing your matches in the future.
Yeah, thank you. GG's.
Absolutely. GG. Have a great rest of your day, buddy.
You too, thanks. Bye-bye.
And with that, Pro is doing pretty good with the Trinex fight here, and getting their final crystal. It was great to definitely have Hitsuyan stop in with us We know he didn't have a lot of time, but time to join us. But I'm glad he did. So very much thanks for him joining us for an interview. And now Pro will be able to run to Ganon's Tower.
Of course, Pro's going to be very happy with the key placement here in Ganon's Tower, and I think it's a little gift to the runners after all the running around they had to do at the very beginning of the seed to have an early key and to be able to kind of blaze right up to Ganon's Tower, as long as you have enough small keys to do so.
Absolutely. So since we can't play a big key game again, why don't we play another number game? Chat, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 22. Get your guesses in now. And Profa Gamer, you can join in this too if you'd like.
14.
All right, I'll let the chat decide if they want to partake into this. Uh-oh, this, he better, okay, good, he's going left side here, and make sure to pick up that key on the way over, so.
Been a lot of big 20s in this seed. You just saw another one on the torch there, so there's been a lot of big 20s for these runners. Fortunately, in all the wrong places and all the wrong times for them when they needed that money.
Yo, I know, they're starting to see red, and so I think officially I'm going to state my number was 14, so you're actually the closest without going over.
Excellent. The first and only time I win a number game on A Link to the Past randomizer.
I know, right? You've won an all-expenses-paid trip to Palace of Darkness to be eaten by turtles, courtesy of Cyclone.
Oh, that just seems unpleasant. All right, well, Pro did a really nice job in this room with those red Igors, taking them out with the red mimics, rather, and taking them out with the silver arrow. So nice job there, and because these rooms can be rather tricky.
Yeah, because those red mimics there, they are hairy unless you have the mirror shield. Then you can just stand in front of them and just do whatever you want, but they are so rude. And we turn that into a rattler room.
Well, we didn't find the powder in this seed. I wonder where that powder was. It's one of my favorite safeties, and never quite located it. I wonder if that was hanging out in Ice Palace.
It could very well be. It's one of those definitely one of those things where either you find it or you don't find it at all. So just because it's not nearly as required. I have seen some clever use of that powder in the tournament. The big use of it turning a chasey skull rock into a blob.
Oh yeah, that I don't see that being used very often, but I definitely have seen it being used before.
It's pretty fun to see it as part of a run, honestly. So that was a lot of fun to see. And Pro doing really, really good in this gauntlet area here. Especially those ice rooms. Those are not easy.
Now, ice physics are difficult. I believe Hitsuyan was saying that Ice Palace is not a favorite dungeon of many.
No, I haven't met a person who has told me Ice Palace is their favorite dungeon, and I am also in that large bandwagon. Prey opting to use the sword strats instead of the silver arrows. Don't blame him. It's it can be really tricky to line up that shot because once you miss, it's hard to go back and take them down.
All right, we got our Wiz Robe rooms coming. He's going to be taking out that Cane of Samaria to take care of those Wiz Robes. I really enjoy these rooms, and I didn't even really realize the application of the Cane of Samaria in these rooms until I started watching and playing Rando, because as a child I think I just slashed at them.
Yeah, it's one of those things you don't think about until you see someone else doing it, and then it's like, Oh yeah, I can do that. And nice double there from Pro. As I said earlier, that's not an easy room to do that in. That takes a lot of practice. I'm going to be finishing up torchlighting rooms in a minute. These last two are always the biggest pains to do.
Well, and the scary piece is in that first torch room, if you walk up those stairs as that door is closing, you could glitch Ganon's tower and have to start from the bottom. And there's the riot shield.
Of course, right after you need it for the red Gorias, right?
Wonder what Pro might be looking for in these. He might have been looking for a key in those chests, but I wonder if maybe he was looking for something else.
Possibly. I mean, but a sword's always nice to have and bring it into the Ganon fights, so that's nothing wrong with looking for that. And there we go. The bombs finally stopped being rude to Pro.
Alright, so I'm guessing he was looking for another key in one of those chests as he kind of said no thank you to the... Oh, and down he goes in Trolldorm 2.
Oh, geez. Moldezuma's revenge. Ouch.
Something interesting that I found out, that I kind of realized, I'm sure later than most everyone, is that this platform is actually in the shape of a bat, it looks like, and I never really realized that until recently.
You're right. I never actually thought of that. Oh, it's getting hairy. Jeez, he's in full for. Oh, thankfully, no more revenge.
It was a tense situation there. Let's see if he opens up our last chest, and he says, yes, I'm going to take those 3 bombs. I may need them sometime in the future.
Drop some on a specifically bad Ganon fight if it happens, but we're hoping not. I hope for a nice, easy Ganon fight for Pro.
Pretty efficient exit from that ice, that I like to call it the final boss room, the mini Helmasaur ice room with the bonk balls and everything. It was a nice exit.
Oh, Pro, gotta be careful here. Just a few hearts left. Aga does not seem to be lining nicely for the, as you call it, the trigonometry. Was that right?
Trigonometry, yeah. But he did get that diagonal, which was very nice, and it looks like he's going to get a double here.
Nice. There we go. That's got to be a relief now to get out of Ganon's tower like that.
Tough spot, though, because you don't get a heart refill going into Ganon here, and so having 2 hearts, I think he also picked up that blue goo bottle, and I'm not quite sure if he's used it yet.
I wonder what he's going to do now. Yeah, because he's only got 2 bottles, so even if it does make a potion run, still got to be careful nonetheless. And there's the refill, so as long as he's careful, this shouldn't be too bad here.
I gotta say, that was kind of neat. As he was refilling his health, Swag Duck was frozen on screen, just kind of flapping his wings. It was something I've never seen before.
It was kind of nice to see. You don't often get to say hi to the duck. Is very usually very busy duck.
Alright, we're on phase 2. Just a few more slashes here. We'll activate phase 3 of Ganon. We're gonna dodge those fire bats. No one wants to say hello to them.
No, but that was some really nice dodging right there. That's some very fancy footwork from Pro here.
And we're on phase 3 for what we know is going to be 3 hits and then 5,000 teleports for that 4th hit.
I think Ganon just seems to be adding in more teleports for the sake of adding in more teleports. Well, he's not the main villain of the series for playing nice, though, that's for sure.
No one likes to see this many teleports at the end of Phase 3 in a Ganon fight.
No, it can be enough to have you pulling out your hair, especially when it's a very, very tight race. No torch glitch, but understandably opting to just get the first hit in early, because, I mean, the less time you spend on Ganon, the less time you have to worry about falling down, so that's a good move.
Ooh, Rick, you said the F word. I hope that doesn't make commentator scores happen.
I've been watching my language this whole time, thank you.
Well, we know fall is also a dirty 4-letter word here in the final fight of this game. Let's see if Pro takes him and takes out the big pig. So we will be reporting his speed racing TV time in just a moment. So GG's in the chat. To Pro, nice job. 2:11, certainly a really good time for a seed that was a little bit bottlenecky at the very beginning, and an Aghanim seed nonetheless.
Yeah, that's definitely a respectable time. I mean, I was expecting a lot longer of a run, so definite GG on that one.
All right, so we're going to check. And Pro, of course, crosses the finish line with a speed racing TV time of 2:11:27. We're going to see if he wants to come in for a post-race interview.
Sounds like a good plan. But yeah, as far as the seed goes, just overall, how you feeling about it? You think it met expectations? Trolly, nicer?
You know, other than the bottleneck at the very beginning in the farming for rupees, I think the seed was pretty straightforward. You know, both the runners made all the right moves and I almost quoted a song there, all the right moves in all the right places. And they didn't go into Ice Palace, which was something that I would have done that they didn't do. So I think that really helped. Really showed off some skill today. Did a nice job. And it looks like Pro is ready for his interview. We're going to drag him on in.
Oh, fantastic! It'll be a good chat with him.
Pro, GG, good job today. How you feeling?
So. Who knew money was the answer to all my problems? At least early on.
I know, it's like, who'd have thunk that one?
Yeah. After that, I thought I was okay, but toiling around for that fire rod probably sunk me. I wanted to avoid pendants as long as I could, but when I ran out of possibilities, I figured it had to be in one of the two. So that was probably the decisive point.
I think both of you didn't check Ice Palace, which you both checked Pod, and you kept kind of in step with each other. So it was that tough pendant dip. I agree with you. You never want to do those pendant dips if you don't have to. But of course, that fire rod had other plans for you.
Right. Yeah, and after that, if it was just, I think that was really the decisive point. I probably still wouldn't have won either way, but I think it would have been a better overall seed if that fire rod had wound up in one of the crystal dungeons. But that's the way it goes sometimes. Overall, I thought I played decent.
Yeah, I agree. There was some really good routing decisions there too. I mean, we can't fault you for the way you played at all. I mean, that's probably how I would have done, to be honest. It was just, sometimes the way of the rando.
Yeah. I thought decision-wise, I thought I was okay. Probably made a few too many early detours, especially the ones that didn't pay off, like Tower of Hera. But you really wouldn't have thought it would be Zora as the answer, and not getting a crystal until I think 56, 57 minutes into the seed is never ideal.
I think that was fairly true for both of you, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I mean, yeah, either way, and that's not what you want to see. You want to at least have like a crystal or two in your back pocket, like 20, 25 minutes in, just, say you could, but couldn't clear either dungeon until I think about, the 45, 50-minute mark. It was, really a lot of, guessing and calculation as far as where everything was going to end up being.
Yeah, Pro, chat pointing out, you both were neck and neck when you were farming for rupees for Zora. So, I mean, really in the first 45 minutes and when you were farming for those rupees, you guys were neck and neck.
Okay. I kind of figured as much just because, one, we didn't have a glove, so you couldn't do that little farming in next to the dam, so you couldn't do that. So it was either the tree or, as I probably realized a little too late, you could go into Blind's hideout in Kakariko and get 30 at a time. Luckily, I think both of us were probably pretty close, but the money wasn't flowing until after we entered Dark World for real.
The Bank of Dark World. I do kind of wonder, though, where were you thinking the fire rod was hiding out, just in general?
I thought there was a dim shot. It could be in swamp. That was what I was kind of hoping for. Especially since I got a lot of good stuff in outside of Mire, so swamp was my guess if it was going to be in a crystal. But it seemed like every major crystal palace leading up to that had at least something really good, and I thought that would be the what I would need from out of Swamp Palace.
One of the questions I asked Hitsuyan was, when you were going up to Zora with that money, when you finally had that 500 rupees, what were you hoping and what were you thinking Zora had for you?
Given the way the seed was going, I really thought it was actually going to be Magic Cape. I figure I was going to Aga either way, but I thought the game would have a little more of a funny with me and just give me the Magic Cape and say, okay, go fight him with your plastic sword now. That just seemed like the way the seed was going, based on that. And ideally, I really would have liked to have had the glove. That was what I was really hoping for, because that would have really opened up a lot of Dark World for me, and I would have been able to really clean house.
Right, I think we were all hoping that it wasn't going to be an Aghanim care package, but unfortunately, the seed giveth, the seed taketh away.
Yeah, 2 of my 4 matches have been Aga required, so I'm kind of getting used to this.
Oh, that way that rando rules, let me tell you.
2 have been Aga required, 1 was Ped required, 1 was 2, I believe, I needed the super bomb to get a major item. So I've pretty much seen just about every variation except something really nice and fast and generous.
So of course that means it's just coming up in your next match, that's all.
One would hope. I mean, I'd like to have one of those in these 7 matches. So far, no dice.
Well, Rick, I have one more question. If you have any other questions, I have one more just to kind of wrap us up today, but I'll let you ask any last questions you may have.
I think the last question that I have is the one that I always say I keep stealing from a friend of mine, and that friend of mine is you, so I'm not going to be the dirty thief today, and I'm going to let you do it.
All right, so Pro, the last question I always like to ask is, what is one thing you would do differently for your next seed, or one thing that you've learned from this seed?
I think in general, I probably could have handled some of my routing a little better, and I think, even though I don't like going independence, I think in all 4 of my matches thus far, I think every single one has had a pendant dungeon with a major item that is required for clearance. So it's easy to say, well, I just want to go through the crystals and ignore the pendants outright, but it does, and at least in this version of the rando, it does not seem to be that particularly kind. At least in the seeds I've played. So I don't dismiss the pendant dungeons completely, especially an item rich one like Pod, which often has something really worthwhile.
Absolutely would agree with that lesson for today. And so GG's again to you, Pro.
Right.
We look forward to seeing your matches going forward in this tournament. 2:11 is a really good time, so I certainly wouldn't be too down on yourself. And we really enjoyed watching your race today.
Best tournament time so far, so making progress. So
That's what it's about, man. Good job.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming in. And with that, I think it's about time for us to be hitting the old dusty trail, unfortunately, buddy, huh?
I think so, but certainly we are not going to be wanting for randomizer action this weekend. So, Rick, we got the schedule there for our randomizer races coming up today?
We do, yes. There's some matches going on right now as we speak. There's one on Speed Gaming 4 with Sonic Am versus Arija. I haven't asked on the pronunciation, so I'm sorry. That's going on Speed Gaming 4 right now. In about 15 minutes, we're going to see Justin Z versus Arboretic on Speed Gaming 5. And of course, we got plenty of other matches that are going to be streamed today that are going to wet your whistle for more randomizer action. So keep in tuned all day. There's going to be a match that you're going to love out there.
And one more time, I'd like to thank our two runners, Hitsuyan and Pro, for their entertaining run today. So please do follow those two runners on Twitch. And thank you to our tracker, Iceman F1. I've worked with him several times. He's amazing. So thank you to him. And thank you to all of you for joining us today at our Speed Gaming 3 Link to the Past Spring Tournament 2018. I've been the Profe Gamer.
And I have been Rick, and it has been a pleasure to commentate with you, my friend.
Equally, and please do follow Rick as well. He's fantastic, and he's working on his run so he can enter the next tournament.
I was a chicken this time, but maybe not this time. Next time, rather.
Well, everyone have a great day, and we hope to catch you in one of the many, many random matches to wrap up Week 4 of the Link to the Past 2018 Standard Mode Tournament, and have a great rest of your day.
Absolutely. Peace out, sauerkraut. Enjoy the rest of your day.